What's going on, you guys? Just watched the 3-episode Star Wars Rebels series finale. Just like literally finished it within the last 30 seconds. So, oh boy, so many good things. I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna do a full recap. So spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna talk about everything. Okay, so wow, where to begin? Well, I guess I'm gonna start at the beginning. First thing's kind of cool. We see Rex in his camo gear. Awesome stuff. And it looks like his band of clones also have an AT-AT that they've built up similar to the other walker that they had. So that's kind of cool, and it kind of gives me hope for a big tabletop game that's going to eventually have Rebel versions of these that the clones have kind of built up. That gets me excited. What else? All right, so we kind of see a family reunion. Like, so many of the recurring characters are coming back now, so that's cool. So we see Gregor and Wolf, Hondo, Melchior, his little buddy. I always want to call him Boo. If you've played Baldur's Gate, you get that reference. But Ketsu Onyo is there. Callus is back. Ryder Azadi, all of that. I mean, some of these have been more common, but like Ketsu Onyo hasn't been around very much, so it's kind of nice to see her. So we kind of get everybody coming together, and they're working on this plan. And so Ryder Azadi's like, oh, I'm gonna betray all the people to try to get Price. I mean, it seemed kind of obvious that Ryder Azadi was a plan. He wasn't really betraying them because they set it up to make it kind of obvious. So he says he's gonna betray them to lure Price to come out. Price comes out, they have this huge fight, and they capture Price. But this fight actually is really good. One of the best battles I've seen, like ground battles I've seen in all of Star Wars Rebels, because you had like jump jet stormtroopers and Sabine, you had people flying around, you had ground troops shooting at these at these transports, and almost like helicopters and stuff, and like there's like really good impacts on them. The animation was really done well. At the same time, you have Rook and Ezra fighting, so you've got really good shooting, you've got really good explosions, you've also got really good like melee combat going on, and really good jetpack aerial fighting, all at the same time. So I just want to draw some praise for this. This was a really good fight scene. And it was lengthy too, but it wasn't too long. It was great. And then it ends, with the wolves, and and the Loth wolves are like completely tearing it up. Hera shows up, and you get like this Return of the Jedi music, the same kind of music that, like when Luke, shows you the green lightsaber for the first time. Very cool. So I liked that, and and I'm going to come back to Luke's green lightsaber in a little bit too, because I think there might be some other synergies there. But great fight. The Loth wolves are like literally ripping stormtroopers in half. Although they didn't animate any stormtroopers getting ripped in half, you could tell that there were some stormtroopers that got eaten. And you also get this really cool scene of the Ghost literally like just ramming one of these little transports and knocking it out. And I just loved that. Like, it shot a whole bunch of them, and then the last one was just like, oh, let's just turn this way, and just rammed it, and I loved that. Loved that. So they take Price back to the capital, and and just a lot of really good tactics like that get employed here with just the distraction strategy that that they're able to sneak in. It's pretty effective. Turns out Rook got thrown off with the Loth wolves, but he survived, and of course Rook almost always survives, and he warns Thrawn. Thrawn's on his way back, so Thrawn's he's got a plan. So Thrawn is still being Thrawn. Thrawn gets the rebels. They're like, oh, we got the whole fortress, we're fine, you can't hit us. He's like, yeah, but I can bomb your city, and Ezra decides to surrender to Thrawn. So some interesting things happen at this point. Is that and this is some really cool stuff that I think some folks might have missed. Is Thrawn has this conversation with Ezra on board the Chimera, and Thrawn it mentions the Jedi, and so Thrawn knows a lot about the Jedi and how they are now. And one thing that's really important that Thrawn says to Ezra is that that Jedi are all either in hiding or barely trained, and some are children that are barely trained. And I'm like, well, so there's actually some Jedi out there. And they're kind of leaving that door open that there are some Jedi still out there. And some might complain that, well, does that counter what Yoda is saying, the last of the Jedi will you be? And it could just be depending on what does Yoda mean by the last of the Jedi. Because according to Yoda, maybe Luke was the last person that was trained to be a Jedi, because I mean, Leia is still alive at that point, and she's also Force sensitive and has the blood, but she hasn't been trained. And Luke actually went through training by a Jedi Master, by Yoda. So that probably is, I'm guessing, what they're going to say. That's what Yoda really meant. It didn't mean there were no people alive that had any training, but Luke was the last one that had like the official training by a Jedi Master. I think that's kind of how that's going to end up working itself out, if some of these other Jedi or partial Jedi or gray Jedi, like people like Ahsoka, are still out there. And it also makes me wonder if Thrawn knows about Yoda. So I've got to dwell on that some more. But really cool stuff. So they're talking about that. It also makes me wonder if Thrawn knows about Obi-Wan, or what Thrawn knows about the Jedi. Pretty cool stuff. So then you see Palpatine's hologram, which is also really interesting because he looks young. He looks kind of like Episode 1 Palpatine again. Thrawn leaves them, and Palpatine proceeds to tempt Ezra to reopen the temple. They had taken a lot of the temple, brought it on board the Star Destroyer. It still had the kind of that magic that could open those portals. And Palpatine is all about that. Palpatine wants to get into these portals and be able to go manipulate fate, manipulate time, be able to do all kinds. Anybody who's wronged him, to be able to go in there and stop that from happening. I imagine he probably wants to save Anakin from becoming Darth Vader. Who knows what other things that he wants to change. And that's really interesting. I'm curious, like, how many things have gone wrong for him that he really wants to change, because in theory, so many things have gone right for him that he shouldn't really be that concerned with time travel. So it really boils down to what other adventures has he had that have failed him, or maybe it's more of an insurance policy. He wanted to get in there and look to the future to see, hey, is anybody going to blow up the Death Star? Oh, there's this kid. And that's probably what he probably wanted. But Ezra resists, and this was kind of important. So Ezra resists, and he ends up destroying the temple. Palpa is mad. But also, Palpatine uses the Force, even though he's all the way across the galaxy. He's on Coruscant, and it's just his hologram. He actually uses the Force to undo Ezra's chains. So Palpatine is so flippin' strong, and that's important. And it was nothing for him to use the Force and manipulate objects from across the galaxy. Dude is, and I'm sure maybe the temple amplified his power a little bit, maybe. But then you get these new guards come in, okay? Now they look like royal guards, but they also look like the Praetorian guards, right? And they've got this weapon. It's almost like a polearm that's using the Force. So here's my big question. Who were these guys? Were they a new version of Inquisitors? That's what I think. I think they're the remains of the Inquisitor program. Perhaps they're the children Thrawn was talking about, mentally still children, like they've only got a little bit of Force training, and maybe these poles amplified their Force abilities. That's kind of my guess on what these dudes are, but let me know in the comments what you think these dudes are, because it was pretty cool, because they had the red on, but you had Royal Guard officially at the time, so they weren't the same as the Royal Guard. They weren't Death Troopers, they were wearing red. It looked more like Praetorian Guard that Snoke has. So, again, I don't know. I'm sure they're going to have a special name. I'm sure those were Force amplification staffs or something like that. I mean, that's got to be, they had to have been at least Force-sensitive individuals. I have a feeling these are Inquisitors 2.0. So I'm calling it right now, hashtag Inquisitors 2. That's what I'm calling them. We'll see. We'll see if I'm right. Okay, so then there was also a side mission. Martin Matten, it's Sato's nephew, is got a special mission from Ezra, and that's to go get the whales from space. I think we saw in season 2. We saw the whales in space. Ezra's always had this affinity for animals, for creatures, and he has this signal, and he tells him Mart to go ahead and summon the whales, and just in case Thrawn gets here. And so that happens, and at the same time, you've got this huge battle going on in the city for like all of the rest of our heroes, Zeb and Callus and the clones and Vizago and Hondo and the little piggy guy Melch or something to try to get the shields online over the city. They managed to barely do that. It's cool. Thrawn's Thrawn is starting to lose this battle, and this is where I started to freak out. I really started to freak out because I started this hashtag, if Thrawn dies, we riot. Because Thrawn is too beloved. He's too popular. He died once in the EU, but he's back now because the slate has been wiped clean. So Thrawn could not die. I wasn't going to have it. So then all of a sudden they say, "Sir," and they tell Thrawn, "There's something approaching." And Thrawn goes, "Get me Captain Pellaeon." Yes. So Jalad Pellaeon is now, well, we're assuming it's Jalad Pellaeon, is now canon. But they're like, he's not there. So then you're like, oh, he's canonized, but he's dead. Only to find out he's not dead. These freaking squid things have the tentacles, and then they show them coming in. And remember, the Bendu predicted Thrawn's defeat, be surrounded by tentacles, right? By arms, right? So I'm thinking instantly, I'm like, oh, this is how Thrawn's going to lose because of these things. But then I'm thinking to myself, is this his defeat or his death? Because they don't mean the same thing. And I called it because he doesn't die. He just gets defeated. But as far as we know, Thrawn is still alive because he's got his eyes open. He just gets pulled through hyperspace. He's immobilized, but yeah, Thrawn is alive and well. And that's one of the things that makes me so happy about this is that there's a future. There's a definite future, and Ezra goes with him. Ezra is like, I gotta make sure, because he probably had to guide the space whales. I don't know why Ezra really had to go with him, but I think he had to go guide the space whales and make sure Thrawn didn't come back. A whole lot of speculation on what conversation Ezra and Thrawn are gonna have after the fact. He's like, dude, you're done. And the thing is, after he leaves, even if they're far enough to even get word of what happens in the Empire, Thrawn's gonna be like, oh, Palpatine is blowing up planets now for no reason? Okay. Alright, you know what? I'm done. Let's go to Cilia and start making some Chiss Clawcraft with my TIE Defender blueprints that are right here in the Chimera's computers. That's what I'm expecting to happen. But so we have a little bit more to talk about with this. Alright, so all the ships got towed away. So I think also Jalad Pellaeon is probably fine as well. Because if these squid were pulling all of the Star Destroyers away, they didn't say they were destroyed. They said they're just gone. And now we understand how they were gone because they were pulled into hyperspace. Okay, fine. That's a little weird, but that explains. And this sets up a series. It sets up movies or a series for Ezra and Thrawn's adventures elsewhere. It totally sets it up, and I think it's beautiful. All right. Maybe not beautiful, but I'm just pleased because I want to see more of Thrawn. And by the way, there's a book coming out in like 3 months about Thrawn, so hopefully there's a little bit of that, a little bit with Thrawn's future. Okay, so let's see. Ezra says he's counting on Sabine. Sabine has Ezra's lightsaber, which is interesting because jump to the end, you jump like, years and years in the future, she's not wearing it. So what happens to Ezra's lightsaber? It's green. My guess, because they do go and help out the rebellion, is that Ezra's lightsaber finds its way to Luke Skywalker, and that crystal it gets used, gets passed down to Luke Skywalker. I'm guessing that, and granted, in the old canon, in the old EU, there was different stories, but so it's a new slate right now, so everything is new. So I am going to call that is Ezra's crystal and Luke's lightsaber. That's my prediction. We'll see if I'm right. According to the new canon. So, let's see. Sabine cuts her hair. That's kind of cool. We do see a brand new ship, too. It looks like it's Ahsoka's ship. It's kind of like this fin. It looks kind of cool, like a half of a disc, but flying upright. So I'd like some more information on what that ship is. Excited about that. I was really hoping we were going to see a Starhawk from the Aftermath trilogy, because we get this epilogue at the end, like in the Lothal people, they're like all rising up, and Empire never came back for them, so that's cool. And you are also probably wondering, like, well, how are they going to win if the first, Rogue One was the first victory by the rebellion? Well, that's easily answered because this was not the rebellion. This was just, a private uprising. It was just a couple of individuals, so, and Space Whales, really. Space Whales and Ezra were the victory. So this was not part of the rebellion. And they actually made that very clear. They said, no, we did this without the help of the rebellion. Maybe we can go help the rebellion now. So this was very separate from the efforts of the rebellion. Okay, let's talk about Jason Syndulla. Let's talk about Jason Syndulla. Jason Syndulla apparently is the child of Hera and Kanan. Now, see, we knew that those times when Ezra snuck into Kanan's room and he wasn't in there, we know where he was in the middle of the night, and he comes in, he's like, oh, I was just in Hera's quarters. Because, I mean, let's be honest, they were, they may not have said it. She may not have said I love you, but she probably said a lot of other things. So Kanan and Hera have been together. I mean, ever since the book New Dawn, they've been together for a long time. So green-haired is a cool looking Jason Syndulla. I just didn't know that interspecies could actually have children. There was a scene in the Clone Wars where a clone ended up with a Twi'lek, but they weren't. I think it was she had kids already because they were Twi'lek kids, and Jason Syndulla looks human, so pretty interesting. Looks mostly human. Has Hera's eyes though. It's kind of cool. Or Hera's eye shape it's a cartoon though, so you're not who really knows. But Jason Syndulla, there's future there. A lot of future there, so that much is cool. They also said that Hera fought at Endor, which we already knew from Forces of Destiny, but they also confirmed that Rex fought at Endor. So that is, it's just nice to see it finally confirmed on the show. Some of the, it had been soft confirmed already because some of the people have talked about it, and there was some stuff at Star Wars Celebration talking about it. We also see Ahsoka at the end, too, working with Sabine. So Ahsoka and Sabine are going to find Ezra and bring him home, and that's kind of where the show ends. And it kind of takes place, after the Battle of Endor, and they're talking about it, and Lothal got built up beautiful. Lothal looks like a parrot, looks like a new Alderaan right now. Except not at all like Alderaan, but a beautiful city, right, where the capital is. It's been rebuilt up. Awesome stuff. So, I think basically everything that I wanted to have happen happened. Well, not everything. There's certain things that didn't happen. Like I really was just expecting, I was expecting, Cody to show up at some point in Rebels, and he never did. He was mentioned a number of times. But I'm going to have to put together a list of all the things that I was expecting to have happen that didn't happen. But overall, awesome episode because Thrawn's still alive, Ezra's got a future, Sabine's got a future, Ahsoka's got a future, Kanan's kid has a future, Zeb and Callus end up together, so that's kind of cool, and it's not, it's just as friends and everything, but it's going to fuel a whole lot of fan fiction. I am certain of that. Loved it, though. Let me know what you guys think. There's still another round of the giveaway going on right now, so if you want to enter to win a $20 Cool Stuff gift card so you can get a gaming expansion of your choice, all you got to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that, folks. Thank you so much for watching. How do you feel about Rebels being over now? And what do you think is next? There's been trademarked for something called Star Wars Resistance. Is that going to be the new show? Is it going to be completely unrelated from this? Will it have cameos from an old Ahsoka? Is it going to have cameos from an old Ezra or an old Jason Syndulla leading a new rebellion? Who knows? The future is very bright right now, though. Very, very happy. It was a good finale. And most importantly, Thrawn did not die. That's the most important part. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell for alerts so you don't miss when I do anything new. Thank you again so much for watching, and have a great day.